go. All right. Hello, everybody. This is the practice round prompt for the name, image, and likeness transaction competition. My name is Tony Starniol. I'm the president of the Sports and Entertainment Law Society. Very glad whoever's decided to compete in this has. This practice video will simulate a negotiation that is highly similar to the negotiations that will happen during the competition. A few rules that should be noted before we go into this is that the knowledge of the prompt is closed universe, meaning that all the information that is used during the negotiation is what is on the actual prompt. So general basic knowledge is perfectly welcome, but nothing that'll change the dynamic of the negotiation. The way the actual negotiation will run is that it will run for 45 minutes straight. However, each team has allotted two 1 minute timeouts or one 2 minute timeout. The way you'll be able to get your timeout is you inform one of the bailiffs that you'd like to take a timeout, and each team has the benefit of that timeout. It will stop the clock, and you will be able to reconvene with each side. The way it will start off the negotiation is the brand side, this being Rolex in this negotiation, will start off with their offer, and then the team side, or sorry, not the team side, the athlete side, Shedeur Sanders, will have the chance to counteroffer. From there, each side will be able to negotiate, and then it's off to the races. We will get started in a sec, and I will wait for the bailiff to start the clock or get ready for it. And I think we will get started. All right. Hello. I am one of the attorneys for Rolex, and we are super excited to be meeting with you guys today. I know that Shedeur is, from what we've heard, is excited to be potentially working with us. I know we've only had a few phone calls here and there, no concrete details, but we'd love to get a deal done today. Um, I know that this NIL space is definitely a really new world, and we'd love to get our feet wet in this world. We'd love to get in there with one of our deals. We know that Shedeur has been kind of showcasing the new trend in his game, college football. After one of his touchdown celebrations, he flashes one of his watches. We think that him doing that celebration would pair really well with our brand. We think him possibly wearing one of those watches or just advertising it would be something that would be really cool for the both of us. We do have some concerns. Usually, the types of brands that we go with are a little bit more international. You know, we've worked with people like Roger Federer from, tennis, Wimbledon, Brooks Koepka from the PGA, and a few other golf athletes. So we're not very used to working with athletes that only cover the United States. But we do think that given the market that Shedeur has been able to touch with 18 to 34 age demographic, and the fact that we haven't hit on the college football or just football universe in general, we really think this is a cool opportunity. While I'm still speaking, by the way, my associate Connor, um, he will be putting in our offer. Um, and just let me know if you guys have any questions about it, but let me just kind of go into a little bit more of a spiel. Basically, Rolex has been a very prestigious brand for the longest time. People know our watch brand. It's very prestigious, very well known. And we think that Shedeur will be somebody that would be able to promote it in the right way. We think with the amount of followers he has and with the new opportunity for college athletes, we think this could be a really cool offer and sponsorship deal. And yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Like I said, I am Tony. This is Connor. And he'll be putting in some of the terms while I'm just kind of introducing myself. Is it working for you, Connor?
Yeah, I'm starting to see it come in here.
Is it? All right. Oh,
I have the
Yeah.
Rolex side. Yeah, yeah.
here, I'll help you with it. Here, let me see. Okay. So if you guys I know let me just fill in the branding expectations. If you guys have any questions while we're filling those in, please feel free to talk with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll kind of get started here. I want to thank you both for this initial proposal. My name is Jonathan Thibodeau, and joining me is my co-counsel, Eric Gusloff. We have the privilege of representing Mr. Shedeur Sanders in this negotiation today. First, we'd really like to express our sincere appreciation for taking the time to meet with us and discuss this exciting opportunity with Shedeur to collaborate with Rolex. Shedeur is genuinely enthusiastic about the possibility of working with such an iconic brand. As you are aware, he has a strong passion for high-end fashion and has cultivated a personal brand that aligns exceptionally well with Rolex's value and image. After reviewing your initial proposal here, we have prepared a counteroffer that I think would better align with Shadeur's expectations up front. I'd like to take a moment to put that in our offer sheet and kind of go over those proposed terms, explain kind of where we differ. But I do see some things here that I think show that we can probably get to an agreement today. I think we'd really like to focus on the substance of the contract and kind of the branding and advertising expectations first, if that's something you guys are open to. But I'm going to go ahead and post our offer sheet. So I know you guys are looking for more of a multi-year contract. I think for us, we'd like to keep it on the shorter end, more towards a one-year deal, at least for now, and maybe there'd be an option to kind of renew for the future. But right now, we'd be looking at more of a one-year contract with a higher sponsorship fee. Um, in terms of exclusivity, Shedeur is, uh, he's into fashion. He's into a lot of different watches. He wears lots of different watches, as you guys have noted, in his celebrations, touchdown celebrations, and those types of things. So I think exclusivity is something he'd be open to for the right price, but it's not something that it's something we can negotiate. I would put it that way. Um, and then we're looking at doing a promotion where maybe we would do one watch per month that you guys would be able to select and send us. You pick it. Let's say for the first month of the contract, you send the watch you want to be promoted, and we would do one advertisement during that month for that watch. You could kind of pick the medium, whether that's, hey, maybe it's a TikTok reel or an Instagram post, or it's an advertisement we put together for TV before or during a football game. Um, but we'd like to see it more towards one per month. We think doing it that way would allow him to have more opportunities to really focus on his school, so that he's eligible to play, and so that they can win football games at Colorado. Because if they're not winning games, then none of this really matters. And then I think it's also better for potentially Rolex as well to do one promotion for one watch every month. That way we keep it fresh. It doesn't get too redundant. And then I think at the end of the month, we would return the Rolex to you guys. And then in February, you'd send the next watch. And then we do the promotion, we'd send it back. Then we'd send the next watch in March. So it'd just be a cycle for the entire year. And at the end of the term of the contract, he would just keep whatever three watches he liked. So I know you guys are looking at potentially two watches that he would keep. We're looking at maybe three watches and doing a monthly promotion. So we'd like to kind of hear your thoughts on that offer. And we'd really like to focus on kind of the branding, advertising expectations up front.
Connor, do you want to to chime in about anything.
Yeah, so you pretty much wanted for like I guess for his social media platforms like for him to choose. So if you're thinking about ones like for him to choose, what ones are you exactly wanting? I
Yeah, I
guess like
mean, we'd be
what
kind
ones are
of
you wanting?
Yeah, I mean, we'd be kind of open to let you guys have some creativity there and how you kind of want to run the advertisements, what you kind of want him to say or do, maybe 30-second to a minute tops. But I mean, I think he's really open to, Instagram, Twitter. Those are kind of where he has his biggest following. I think he's maybe a little reluctant to use TikTok at this time. He's not as involved with that. But yeah, I mean, Instagram and Twitter or and maybe Snapchat, 100%. Platforms that he'd be willing to use, and that's kind of up to you guys on how you might want to structure that.
And just another quick point for the social media. He really wants to try and keep his Instagram and everything, his social media profiles like really genuine. So 2 posts a week for the first month. I get it's only for the first month, but then 2 posts on all 4 platforms after that seems maybe just like slightly bit excessive. So if we could really maybe try and cut down just to make sure that he really keeps his profile genuine, so like the fans interact with it. If it gets to become too much like advertising, I feel like it's more so just like he's doing it just for the advertising. It's not like really his account. He's not really genuine with interacting with fans and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'll chime in. I could definitely see how that might be a little overwhelming in the beginning, and I think there is some wiggle room as far as the amount of posting. I think my biggest concern, you did mention it, and the one big difference between your guys' offer and ours that I know we're not talking about it, but I'd like to just bring it up as far as, to bring down those branding expectations. This we have to see because for us this is a non-negotiable. We would like it to be exclusive. Um, we think that, Rolex is a it's a revolutionary brand, it's prestigious, and we want Shedeur to be synonymous with Rolex. We want his celebration and him. We want to be kind of collaborating in the sense of, hand in hand. And I think that's one of those things that we walk away, you know, not that we don't feel like we can compete with other watches because we're obviously synonymous with already huge brands, but we just feel like this is a fantastic opportunity for him to just work with us in this. So that is one thing that I'd like to mention. As far as the posting, um, it does sound like we have some common ground. I know that we put all the platforms. That's just because we like to do some guerrilla marketing. We want to get stuff out there. We want people to start realizing that they're one and the same. We could probably come down on some of those platforms. We hear you with the TikTok. It might not be, his biggest platform and the genuineness. One thing, and Connor could get a little bit more into it, that we do know from our partners is that we'd be willing to help with certain things he can post. Like we would be happy to like do photo shoots with him or videos. So go ahead, Connor, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so for like Instagram and Twitter, you can have like not just his home account be posted, but you can also do like um collaboration of posts as well. So if we just post what and so like if we just post the let's say one of the posts for Instagram and we just have him as one of the accounts also tagged on there as well to where it would make his life a lot easier when it comes to posting and stuff like that as well, to where it's not going to where like every post he has to just post everything, he has to make sure it's perfectly cut. Like he's got to make sure everything, like the filters and everybody's tagged. Um, all he has to do is just let us tag him, and then pretty much we're on our way.
Yeah, so I'll try to quickly speak to both these points. So in terms of exclusivity, I think Shedeur does have some reluctancy to some degree. Although he realizes, Rolex is one of those premier brands and he's very excited to do an agreement with you guys. He does like to express his fashion choices and he wears a lot of different watch brands. So I think for him to do an exclusive deal, the contract length is probably going to have to come down from 3 years. And that's something that's going to have to happen. And we're really looking closer to one on that. And I think the sponsorship fee is something else we'd really like to see increase because, if this is going to be his only watch that he's wearing, he wants to do it for the right price. And he's got a lot of different watches that he wears, a lot of different watch brands. So he's gonna have to if he's gonna wear just one brand, we're gonna have to see some increases there. And then in terms of helping with if I'm understanding this right, kind of the logistics behind his posts and kind of helping him with um, you know getting all the posts out there. If you guys are willing to help with that, I think that's something that would be very beneficial for him because the thing we're most worried about is his time. We want to make sure he has time to, focus on school and sports. Um, so you guys are offering right now 2 posts weekly on all 4 social media platforms for the first month of the deal. And then after the first month, 2 posts monthly on all 4 social media platforms. So, I think that first month to kind of like jumpstart the partnership, we might be willing to do maybe like 2 posts in that first month, maybe on all 4 media platforms, or maybe 3, and then move to kind of the 1 month proposal that we've done after that, one post a month. And in these posts, like we're willing to put the time in, right, to get these things done and to make them look nice and make sure that you're getting your money's worth, of course. And then I don't know, Eric, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just for the exclusivity part, I was really just kind of curious as to like if this ends up being an exclusive deal, would Shedeur be the only college football player wearing Rolex and like be able to get this type of deal, or would like Rolex be reaching out to other college students? I would really like if we have an exclusive deal, I'd really want to make sure that he would truly be the only exclusive person to like rep this brand, rep the watch because it truly is an historic brand and stuff like that. And speaking to the fee coming up from $1 million, I think we could get that number up from 1 million to close around 3 because just the name of Sanders alone, whether it be Shedeur or his dad, they were able to sell out the tickets for the stadium immediately. Like their Instagram posts gained like millions of followers within the first month. They were selling jerseys. I mean, I think just the name alone brings so much to the table itself. And I think we'd be able to bring that number up.
I will chime in here. Everything you guys are saying, understandable, and I'm going to speak to a few of those points. First of all, as far as the family name, we definitely know about Dion. That name is definitely carrying outside a little bit of the United States, and we are aware of it. However, just a point of concern on our end, we have heard, negative things in the program, like the fact of something that happened with Dion and a Colorado State coach, something along those lines of a little bit of hostility and shaking the hands. So, we run a tight ship. We just have some concerns of that, but that is not hindering anything in this. I just wanted you to be aware that we are aware of that. On the other hand, you mentioned other college athletes. I will say, just to be completely candid with you, we are speaking with another college athlete. It is not a college football player, but we are speaking with another college athlete. We are not looking to partner with them unless this deal doesn't happen. We would like to make our brand synonymous with Shedeur Sanders. With his celebration being a watch, we think that that kind of brand impression to people would be perfect to put our watch on him. Maybe even during games, who knows if, Coach Dion allows it. As far as the number of the fee, we hear you. We might be able to get up a little bit. I think there's some wiggle room there. The years, our biggest thing was we would like to start a long-term partnership. If we do a smaller deal, that's fine. We could look in the future for that. And if you want to add something in there about exclusivity with just Shedeur during the time of the deal, we can add that in there as well. So while I'm gonna adjust it a little bit, Connor, if you have anything more to speak on, feel free. I'm gonna edit it a little bit on our offer.
I do have a question. Would you be willing to disclose who that other athlete is, that you guys are working with? Just interested.
I would I would hesitate to say, but since, you know, we would like a very good relationship with you guys. I will be honest, and there is a main reason for why we are looking at him. It is Bronny James at USC. The reason being is that we are used to working with brands that are more international. And given his dad's fame outside of the United States, it definitely is a great parallel into that. However, given the reasons I said with what Shedeur has done with the celebration, with what he's becoming in the United States, and just entering the football world in general, because, you know, basketball is more of a synonymous with international stars, and we have a lot of international stars. We'd like to try something different, and that's why we think this could be such a great deal. So I
Mhm.
am being completely transparent with you about that. So I'm hoping that carries me a little bit. So I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the transparency. Yeah, I mean, American football is a huge market, so um, I think that Shedeur is going to have an opportunity here very soon to enter the draft. And, a lot of projections are showing him to be potentially a first or second round pick. So, I think um, for us, he really does want to keep this to more of a shorter term deal. Not that he isn't interested in having a long term partnership, but he really wants to make sure he's focusing on the right things. And although this is a great opportunity with NIL right now to, make some money off of his name, image, and likeness and to showcase a great brand like Rolex, he also wants to make sure that, when the time comes for him to go and enter the draft, that he's going to be focused on the right things through that process when he's meeting with GMs and scouts and preparing for the combine and the draft and all those things. So, um, I think for him, he really does want to keep this a shorter term agreement. I think maybe there would be a way to potentially do a 1 year contract with maybe some type of option that we could renew the deal for another year. And we could maybe discuss and look at how that might look.
Yeah, and I understand, you know, the 1 year deal, and I think we can possibly get to that. For now, I think we'll start with the 2 years just because, we'd love to see where Shedeur goes, college, and like we'd love to build a good long-term relationship with him. I'm going to direct you to the counter offer that I changed it just a few things, and if there's some other concerns, but I upped the amount of money per the year. So with the 2 years, it would equal out to 3 million. So just to keep that in mind. And then I put for the first month, made it one post weekly on all three social media platforms. I know he said TikTok's not really where he's looking at. That's fine, understandable. And then I just kind of changed that with the afterwards, the two posts monthly. Um, I remember also that you mentioned about genuineness with his Instagram and Twitter. In no regards are we trying to take away from the genuineness of his posting. We would just like to be, I think Connor was trying to say before, like collaborate with him. We could do it with posts. I mean, we can make posts and literally just tag him in it, but also that wouldn't include in this, but just kind of creating it where like you hear Shedeur, you think Rolex. That's kind of what we're going for. Let me know what you think. And I also added on the exclusivity part to say that it would just be him as the only college athlete with this deal.
I
Yeah, just
appreciate that,
oh,
Tony. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna make a quick point about the social media. I feel like we definitely have a little wiggle room. If we could bring the yearly annual fee up, we could bring that maybe to 2.5 million, at least, and we could maybe add TikTok as another. We could incorporate that as a fourth social media platform. I know he's really reluctant to get on it for privacy reasons and just being like you said, genuineness. That's a big concern of his. But if we were able to up the annual fee, I think we could maybe incorporate TikTok as well.
Yeah, I think we need to see that fee come up, and I am really still concerned about the length. I know you guys are wanting more of a 2-year deal. I'd really like to see if it's possible to maybe do a 1-year deal with some type of option, to where we could, hey, we'll do this contract for a year, and if we both agree we want to do it again, we'll already have it in place for, the financial part and the branding and advertising. It'll all be in place for us to just renew it for another year. So it'd basically be a 1-year deal with an option to renew for a year, something that we can agree to in advance. But I do appreciate you with the exclusivity, making sure that he would be the only college athlete with a deal like this. But I'm interested. So I'm interested in kind of learning more about what you guys plan to do in the social media side of things. What is your plan for posting? What's the content going to look like specifically? Because our concern is it'd almost be a disservice if he's only going to have. I know you guys are going to provide 2 watches, but if those are the same watches every week in a post, it's going to get kind of reluctant, right? It's going to be the same watches. I think that the offer we gave, where it almost be like every month you guys get to showcase a new watch, would almost be more beneficial for Rolex. But just kind of want to hear your thoughts on that.
Connor, do you want to talk? Or wait, you know what? I'll take that because the watch stuff. So I did remember seeing you guys talk about that with the watches per month. Um, I will be completely honest with you. Each of our watches outside of the ice watch, which is what we're looking to advertise the most, to kind of have that one be the one he wears the most. Um, they're each $80,000 each. So we would be willing to give him extra watches. I think,
Well,
go
I
ahead.
may have, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I may have not communicated that properly. So what we're trying to do is basically you would send him a watch every month, and he would wear it. He would showcase it on social media, uh, compliant with your strategies. And then at the end of the month, he would just send it back. So he'd wear the watch for a limited time. It'd be a month. He'd send it back. And then at the end, he'd keep an iced out watch, and then he'd pick 2 other watches that he really liked throughout the
To have
process.
anything,
And then
like to
he'd
have
just keep
permanently.
those. So I mean, and you'd only be out the watches that you provide him. So if there's a
Okay.
really expensive watch that you wouldn't want him to have, then you just wouldn't give it to him. You
So
just
you're
give him.
talking about content specifically, and then
Right. So it'd be
the
like
watches
every.
that we get permanently is a separate combo, is what you're saying.
Right. So he'd get the
Okay.
iced out watch, and then you would pick the watch you provide him with every month for the posts. He'd send it back, and at the end of the contract for the first year, and if we did a second year, then he would keep 2 watches that he wants. That's it. 2 additional watches that he wore and that you provided him throughout the contract.
Yeah, and just speaking to this point, I think it's just a good deal for both sides. I mean, he's able to wear a different type of watch each month. I mean, you get to get different styles out there, different brands that maybe aren't so necessarily known by the public. I mean, you get ones that can go well with the Colorado color, some nice gold and black on there. But I think this is the deal where if you have one each month, like you said, doesn't get redundant. And yeah, at the same time, you showcase a different watch each month. And at the end, he gets to then pick 2 that are normal, 2 uniced out watches, and then, like we said, 1 iced out one.
Um, Bailiff, how much time do we have? Just want to check.
Right now, you're at 17 minutes and 43 seconds left.
Okay. I'd like to take a 1 minute timeout, Bailiff.
Okay.
Okay.
Starting now. Time.
All right, you're back on the clock.
All right. Okay, so is Connor here?
Oh yeah.
You wanted to say something? Just a
Yeah,
little.
so what was the amount or like the sponsorship fee that you were looking at or wanting to go up to?
Well, I think we're really, if we're gonna do a 2-year deal, we're probably at 3.5 million a year. If you're willing to come down on the years, then we're willing to come down on the fee. Um, if you're willing to do a 1-year contract with a 1-year option to renew, we'd be willing to go at like 3 million a year. And we'd be willing to just do that evenly, 3 million the first year, 3 million the second year. But I mean, that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
Uh,
Because we do have concerns here because but the athletes that we have um sponsored in the past, like we have uh Lewis Hamilton, but in football, obviously this is a contact sport. Uh s- uh um Sanders plays at the most important position when it comes to football, which is the quarterback. And I mean, I don't want to say that he's going to get hurt, but like people do get hurt, and this is a I don't want to say steep offer here, but like if we're going to be giving a quarterback a in a contact sport, there is going to be a risk here, and I feel like that 3.5 is just too much money to
So
give
to,
somebody.
to just speak on that, I think the deal could even go outside, obviously just playing his football. He could be wearing your watches wherever, even if he hopefully he doesn't. He would hopefully has a long, healthy career, but if he happens to get hurt, he could be wearing his watches wherever he is. It doesn't matter if he's out at a restaurant, if he's just attending an event, if he's doing something for football outside of it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like his signature move on the field. Obviously, that's where it got to the point where it is now, but I think it's kind of evolved from that where it could be a long-term relate or not even necessarily long-term, but just a relationship where he's able to showcase it in a lot of different aspects.
That's
And I
very
think
val
oh, sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but that's a very valid point. But the only reason why we would ask or offer Sanders this job is because of how he performs on the football field. And if all of a sudden he doesn't play, uh, we're pretty much just giving, just someone just to use their own watch when
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
play.
100%. I mean, I feel like you could say that about most athletes. I mean, obviously, some sports are more involved than others. Like you said, football is a very heavily contact sport. But you got, like you said, Lewis Hamilton, F1. Like, God forbid he takes some wrong turn, a car accidentally skids wrong. Like he could be out for his career. He could never drive a car again. I mean, unlike Brooks Koepka, for instance, he could have a bad back injury. He could have something wrong in his arms. I mean every sport, every athlete you endorse is going to have some type of risk with it. But I think the risk is definitely in this situation. Sanders, the name, everything you get with the company name, I think is definitely worth the 3 million a year.
All right. So while we were all talking, I adjusted some of the numbers and the terms of what we were thinking. So I did up the the fee to 2 million. And I know you guys really want that 1 year deal, which is understandable. If we want to talk in the future about extending that, we can. I guess we could just see how this deal goes along. I think where our concern is like I said, and I've repeated it multiple times, is getting the brand to be synonymous with Shedeur Sanders. So our biggest concern is getting the information out there. And so I know that Eric mentioned that for a little bit of a higher price on the fee, that maybe having TikTok, I did bring that back in for the social media as far as the platform. Um, and then just to kind of sweeten the pot, I added a watch overall, an additional watch. Oh, sorry, that doesn't add up. Two additional watches. So your guys' idea about sending you a new watch every time, our concern is that we're trying to really make our new ice watch, which is the one we'd like to make with Shedeur really big, kind of be the one that, he's synonymous with. So we'd like him to be wearing that more of the time. We'd be fine with giving him two other watches, but the way I kind of figured, since it would be a year deal, is that maybe for like 4 months, since like you break up the 12 months and everything, 4 months of the year he wears the ice watch, maybe during the football season. Actually, we'd like to add that just during the football season because that's the biggest time for his stardom. And then the other two kind of thirds of the year he could wear those other different watches. Would that be something that like would make more sense for you guys? Because I think that given that Rolex is such a prestigious product, we don't want to just be sending back and forth $80,000 watches. So we'd rather him just have them, and then he could just make sure that he's posting with that stuff.
Jonathan, would you like to add something, or I could speak real quick on
It
that?
looked like you had something to say. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like the shipping back and forth really has nothing to do with the quality, but obviously you want someone to be like, you want these watches to be in the best of hands. You don't want anything wrong to happen to them. I think sending a watch back and forth each month, like I said, works for both sides because one, you get to send different types of watches out there. Rolex has many different types of watches. They have different types of iced out watches, like you said, that he could be wearing for however long, whatever. But I think if you were to just do a one watch for maybe 3 months and then another couple for 4 months, like one of his concerns again was his style. He's a very like independent person when he comes to style, so he likes to change up a lot and diversify. So if he's doing one watch for 4 months and then another watch for just another 4 months, whatever, I think we'd have to probably get the fee up a little bit more for that too.
And I think the other concern we're going to have is just the redundancy of what these posts are. I mean, if we're showcasing the same watch over and over, I mean, one post weekly on all four social media platforms for the first month, if it's the same iced out watch every single week, it's going to get very redundant. I can tell you right now, Shedeur is not going to be happy about that. So we're going to have to figure out a way to either if you guys are very concerned about promoting that watch, that's fine. I hear you. It sounds like that's your biggest concern is promoting that iced out watch, and we can work with you on that. But I think we really have to figure out a different posting schedule because he's very busy. And at the beginning of the season, he really needs to focus on football and academics. He doesn't need to be worried about how many posts he's making a week in a month. So we've got to bring that down a lot. And he's going to be worried about kind of the redundancy of these posts if they're the same watches over and over.
Bailiff, how much time do we have?
Currently, you have 9 minutes and 20 seconds, and I'm gonna let you know when there's 5 minutes left.
Okay. How about, so it sounds like the biggest concern is the branding expectations. How
Mhm.
about we come to just some few things we could put in the final agreement? Are we both okay with a 1 year deal?
I think so, but yeah, I think we're okay with the 1 year deal. I think we're okay with the exclusivity, but the exclusivity is a big concession for us. And I think depending on how we structure this branding advertising expectation, we are going to want to see the fee come up a little bit more.
Okay.
Now, I think we can do the 1 year contract if you're willing to potentially help us out with that fee a little bit.
Okay. So I will say, as far as the exclusivity, I mentioned it before, that's kind of a non-negotiable. I'll just be completely flat honest. That's a non-negotiable for us. Um, we pride ourselves on being well known, and I mean, maybe I'm being a little pretentious, but we're a little bit more well known than most watch brands. So that is probably, we can work around um the amount, but I think that
Okay.
there's not going to be so much wiggle room with the posting. But if there's a little bit of tweaking you would like to do, let us know. And we'd even be willing to come up to the four watches overall. So if instead of it being, you know, the
Yeah.
3 and 4 months, it could be the opposite. It could be 4 watches for the 3 months for the 1 year.
Okay,
And
yeah, I
just
mean, I think, sorry, real quick, I think increasing the watches might help and kind of coming up on the fee, but I know exclusivity is a big deal for you guys, but I also want to be clear, this is a big concession for us. Shedeur did tell us this is the only company that he'd be willing to even make any type of, exclusive deal with just because of the Rolex name and how big of an icon this company is. But I do want you to know that this is a non-negotiable for almost every company that he does NIL deals with. So him making this concession for Rolex really shows how much he values this company. But go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna really more speak to just that little point you said at the beginning. Just the more watches overall for him. I mean, I think that could go up or down either way. Like if we could get the fee a little bit more, maybe we could drop the overall watches down or something like that. But however, I think it's a good amount right now. And if we were to, I think we'd be able to like have a little wiggling with the watches. I'm saying, reflecting the amount that we keep at the end then too.
Do you have any points, Connor, that you want to chime in on?
So if we're doing the 1 year deal on, and this is something that Shedeur like really wants to be along with, like, is there any way, like, it's like you said, Jonathan, like that he really loves this brand. Um, would, like if he cares about it, why would like if he could just wear the ice watch, just the one ice watch, and then just have like additional watches? Because what me and Tony said earlier was when we want to see Shedeur posts, like we want to have him be synonymous with his ice watch. And you're talking about the advertising, like he can just have it off, have it on, whenever he just posts like just a regular post, like with him and his teammates, like hanging out one night like at a bar or something like that. Like it doesn't have to be anything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you guys are okay with those posts being something that simple, like just a picture of him with his buddies at the bar or, at practice or whatever, and he's got the watch on and it's not really focused in on the watch, but it does say, maybe paid partnership or something like that. I think if it's something that simple, that's probably not an issue. Yeah. I mean, if that would be counting towards the posts, I don't think that's a problem.
I mean,
And just real quick, I was just gonna say real quick, I think that just kind of speaks to the point I made earlier, where it's just a little bit bigger than football, where he could be wearing that watch anywhere. Like, if God forbid he gets hurt, he could still be wearing that watch, like you said, out with his buddies somewhere else. So that brand is, and the watch is still getting out there.
I think
You've
that,
got
so,
4 minutes and 28 seconds.
does anyone want to use their time?
Okay, so we're going to take a 1 minute timeout and we're going to give you a counter offer.
All
Okay.
right, clock is stopped.
Starting now. Time.
All right, you're back on the clock.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still going through this, but if you look at our Sanders sheet, I have put in a counter offer here. Um,
Okay.
so I guess basically what we're offering now, we want to bump up the sponsorship fee by 500,000 up to 2.5 million. We'll do the exclusive deal. We'll do the 1 year deal. We'll do the 3 watches as you guys have proposed. 3 watches, right? Or is it 4?
It was 3. Yeah, it was 3.
3. Okay. So it was 3. So we'll do that. I think we really are concerned about doing one post every week for all 4 social media platforms for the first month. That seems like a lot. And I know Shedeur is not going to like that. I don't think he's going to like one post bi-weekly for the entire contract either, but I think that's something we can do. So it'd be one post bi-weekly, all 4 social media platforms. You guys help with getting the content set up, kind of the logistics of that, and he'll do it for the entire contract, I believe is what we're going to do here.
Okay. So I honestly think that we're pretty much right there. The only little provision I want to add, because we were talking about it before you guys took the time out, is that the type of posts, like, because you were saying, oh, it's fine if it's like with his friends or like, just hanging out at a bar. We would like to try and find a way, and we could kind of figure this out and brainstorm a little bit more, but we'd like to have this concrete that it's kind of with his celebration. So what I'm saying is if he's unable to do it during a game, that's understandable. I'm not sure what Coach Dion's policy is during game of wearing jewelry. I'm guessing it's pretty loose, just in my
We can get it
opinion.
done.
But if he could possibly, go on the sideline after a touchdown, wear it, or then like make a post where like he's at practice doing that, then I think we have a deal right here. Does that work with you guys? Because in that case, I'm down to just start putting the stuff in there.
What do you think, Eric? What's your thoughts?
I'm thinking that sounds pretty good to me. I'm thinking, so you're just saying for that, just in case, like obviously he can't do it on the field whenever he gets like the chance out, I'm not sure, but you still want him to do the Shedeur, the celebration.
Basically, we're trying to make his celebration because we've seen some other college
Hmm.
athletes do that kind of thing with Rolex. So when they do
Okay.
that, they kind of are like, "Oh my God, Rolex watch!" Like when he does
Okay.
the celebration. So
Okay.
I'll start putting stuff in there, but
So I'm
yeah,
gonna agree to that, but I want this last term I'm just putting in here.
where are you
So
putting?
the watches, it's 3 watches overall. You said 1 ice watch and 2 additional, but I say he gets to pick. He's picking those watches,
The
whatever
two
2 Rolexes
additional?
he wants. He picks them. It's not, hey, you can pick from these 5 or
Yeah.
these 6. It's
Okay.
hey, any watch on the line he picks.
Let me just see one thing real quick. Yep, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
That's perfectly fine. Let's add all that stuff in there, and I think we've come to an agreement, boys. Okay, let me just add this.
All right.
Let me take that advertisement case with the door celebration. How many more minutes do we have, Bailiff?
17 seconds.
Okay,
Everybody sign it.
we've come to an agreement, so the negotiation is good.
All right.
We
Everybody
can
sign
stop
it.
the clock. All right, let me just put this in there, and everybody go ahead and sign. Oh, you gotta put the little S, Eric.
Oh yeah, I got rid of it. Sorry.
You're good, bud. All right, Connor, sign it. Well, it was pleasure doing business with you, gentlemen, and I'm sure we'll hammer out all the details in agreement. I'm happy to be working with Shedeur. We are at Rolex.
Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate your time and negotiating with us this evening, and we're excited to have a new partnership here with Rolex.
Very
Absolutely.
excited.
All right, let me stop the share.